What's going on, everybody? My name is John Stamper, VP of Education at Dental Whale, and super excited to spend some time with you here for the next 20 to 30 minutes. I say this often when I think about the newer technologies in dentistry. Not only is it exciting, but I think what's also happening is we're starting to see some of the top companies in our industry actually collaborate together to make these technologies even more possible in your dental practice. So we're going to spend some time today talking about leveraging AI in an effort to improve treatment acceptance. And with me today, very excited and honored to have Jana Makin, who is the Chief Operating Officer at Curve. How you doing, Jana?
Great. Thanks, John. Great to be here today.
Absolutely. And Dr. Kyle Stanley, who is the Chief Clinical Officer at Pearl. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing great. Nice to be here.
All right. So what we're going to do, everybody, is that Jana has some exciting information that she's going to share about Curve. Dr. Stanley is going to talk about Pearl and some of the exciting innovations there. And they're also going to tie together why we're here today, which is to talk about this exciting partnership with the both of them. And then we're going to wrap up with some Q&A. I also wanted to spend just a little bit of time at the end. I've had the opportunity through Breakaway Seminars and Dr. Scott Luna to have both of these companies at our seminars and get feedback from doctors on what it has been like to work with Curve, to work with Pearl, and to think that these two companies now are partnering together to make this offer available to you is very, very exciting. So Jana, I thought we'd start with you. I'm going to turn it over to you and have you let everybody know some exciting things that are going on at Curve Dental.
Terrific. Thanks, John. So for those of you that are Curve customers, you're going to be super excited to hear about this partnership where we will be pulling the Pearl technology right into your Curve imaging. For those of you who are not yet on Curve or don't know about Curve, Curve is an all-in-one practice management platform in the cloud. And so you might think, like, what does that mean? Everybody says that. So let me tell you that it's the 4 or 5 or 6 or more softwares that you use to run your practice all in one platform. So think about all your patient engagement, all your reviews, all of your forms, your imaging, your clearinghouse. It can go on and on. All of that is included in the one superhero platform with Curve. So we are super excited today to toss over to Dr. Kyle Stanley to talk about how Pearl is changing the industry for all of us, and we are really, really privileged to be partnering with them. Kyle?
All right. Well, thanks for allowing me to be here. We're just as excited to be working with Curve, such an innovative technology and company. And when you look at the history of modern dentistry, you see that our profession has evolved from a lot of technological innovations. 100 years ago, it was something as little as maybe fluoride or the high-speed rotary drill. And in the last 20 years, a lot of us have been digitizing our entire practice: intraoral scans, aligners, face scans, CBCT. And I really think, and I think many would agree, that the next big revolution in dentistry is artificial intelligence. I mean, you're hearing about it everywhere in every sector, but not necessarily bringing it into your practice just yet. And, our vision is really that AI will be an essential utility across the dental field within just a few years. And I say utility just like how we think of water or power. It will just be part of the plumbing. And that is what's so nice about the partnership with Curve is you don't have to change anything. If you have Curve, it makes it very easy to turn on and have AI in your practice. Now, if you don't have Curve, you can switch over. Let's talk about a basic definition of AI, because you're hearing this all over the place. It's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, it's in the news. AI is computer systems that can simulate the problem-solving and decision-making capability of the human mind. So you take a machine that can do small little decisions that our human brain can do. And you may be asking, why do we need this, right? Why do we need AI? And I think in dentistry, we really have an inconsistency problem. So I'll show you a study that was done by the Dental AI Council. What they did was give 136 doctors a single FMX and just say, diagnose and treatment plan this patient. Now, I know we didn't have intraoral scans or we didn't have photos or whatnot, but just off of the radiograph, let's diagnose and treatment plan this patient. And what you found was a huge difference in how doctors were treatment planning and how they were diagnosing, even like the basics of diagnosis. So when you look at tooth number 3 here, for example, upper right molar, you had almost a 50-50 split on whether the dentist said there was caries or not. You had a 60-40 split on whether there was recurrent decay. I think what was even more alarming was when you looked at the entire mouth treatment cost. It ranged from $300 to $36,000. So my dad's a dentist. He practiced for 45 years. My brother's a dentist. He's been practicing for 20 something years. And this is like, you go to me and I say, you need a filling, $300. You go to my brother, he says, well, we got to do some crowns and root canals and scaling and root planing. It's going to be 10 grand. And then you go to my dad and he says, full mouth rehabilitation. This does not look good for our profession from a trust standpoint. But also, if you have associates or if you have multiple practices, thinking about the difference and the inconsistency that happens with your associates and with your doctors. Now at Pearl, we did a study where we asked 3 different doctors to look at almost 9,000 images. And we asked them to simply mark where they see caries. And those 3 doctors only agreed 4% of the time. Now, not only do we not agree with each other, but we've also done some studies where we don't agree with ourselves. So for example, if I look at an image now or a set of images, and then in a few months, I look at the same set and diagnose them again, I only agree with myself 70% of the time. And this is why we started Pearl. Was our mission is to fundamentally elevate the standard of care that's happening across dentistry. And that can really happen now because we have diagnostics that are consistent, accurate, unbiased, and fast. When you look at the AI performance, anytime we take a human, so if you look on the right side, anytime we take a human dentist, we're pretty good at reading radiographs, right? But you add this AI engine to us, so it's the human plus the AI, we always perform better. And our FDA trials showed that we were finding 37% more disease detected. This is not disease that was made up. This is disease that previously was going undetected. And, with our many, many FDA approvals and really comprehensive radiologic detection for dentists, it allows you to utilize AI in the way that you would want to use it, which is a comprehensive way of looking through radiographs, finding things like bone levels and caries and periapical radiolucencies and potential margin discrepancies. And not only that, but being able to point them out to the patient. Because we know that patients don't understand what we're showing them in a radiograph. If you look at the second circle here, 64% of patients said they have no idea what we're talking about when we point to this little area. 71% of patients said that they would trust their diagnosis more if their dentist was using artificial intelligence. And so with case presentation, it becomes so important to utilize this because it's educational, because it's objective, meaning the AI has no incentive to find more disease. So it allows the patient to trust you on the very first appointment. And I know we have a trust issue in dentistry. It's visual, there's colors, there's little pink blobs and green circles, and everything is colorized. And also it's quantitative. So we can look at caries, for example, and find, actually, let me just show you. Maybe easier to show you here. When you look at a patient, this is second opinion. When you go and look at your recent radiographs, you can pull up a patient and now you'll see them in color. So instead of seeing them like this, you see them like this. So we can roll over this and it shows, this amount of caries is into the dentin, for example. Look at this example, right? 14% of that lesion is into dentin. Now, if you wanted to show that to the patient, you say, hey, you see this little dark area up here? And they're going, what are you talking about? However, now you can turn on tooth parts and segment where the enamel is, where the dentin is, and say, you see, Mrs. Jones, we've gone through the purple and into the green. The green is the sensitive, spongy part of your tooth. Because of that, I think we should do a filling on that one. We actually have chair time right now. However, this one on the bottom, this small little pink one, that's still in the purple area. I think we can watch that, or we can remineralize that, or we can talk about your flossing, or whatever it may be. So having something visual to show the patient, even when you're looking at bone levels, and saying anywhere that you see yellow bone levels means that you've lost some bone. So, that's why we recommended scaling and root planing in this patient. And I'll show you just a few more images looking at notable margins. Now, you may not want to change this one, right? It's not that bad. And maybe I just want to take like an interproximal strip and clean that up. However, this one down here, it has a ledge and the patient may get their floss caught and there may be caries underneath it. The whole goal is the AI to point out areas of interest. We call this second opinion because you, doctor, are the first opinion. You're still making the decisions. But the AI is going to point your eyes, reduce your decision fatigue, and of course, build trust with your patients, right? If you come to the patient and say, you see, the AI found that there was a periapial radiolucency, and I agree with it in this case. Because of that reason, we may need to do endo on this tooth, or whatever you think is the answer for this. So when you take all of this into account, what we have seen in our practices that are utilizing second opinion to show their patients, their case acceptance is going crazy. So you can see here, just like scaling and root planing, for example, going up 37% case acceptance. Implants going up 18%. Crowns going up 34%. Why? Because you're showing an open margin, or you're showing the caries. But not only you're showing the caries, but you're saying that it's this much into dentin, this much into enamel, or into the pulp. Really making it visual and allowing the patient to make the right decision. I think so many times we're offering the patient a way of improving their health, improving their life, but they don't have all the education to make the right decision. They may have a trust issue with doctors and with dentists, so they're kind of weary about this. When you're showing them something that is objective, fast, and assists you in your radiographs, you don't have to be the bad guy anymore. So I think where patient trust really comes in is when you show something visual, and when you show something that is automatic and that has no incentive to find more. And so with second opinion, using computer vision AI, we're able to raise that standard of care in your practice. I mean, when we installed this in my own practice, I had missed a bunch of stuff. When we installed this in my practice, we started seeing clinical consistency. We started seeing conversion and retention, and even people saying like, oh, that's so cool. Can I bring my husband in and we can take radiographs on him and see what you find? You can start to get this first mover advantage with this. Our patient trust went through the roof. And, in my practice, we're fairly cutting edge with our technology. We have intraoral scanners and printers and face scans and CBCTs and everything that you need. But one more thing to differentiate us. I have 52 dentists in my building. 52 dentists in my building, not like in the city or in my town, in my building. So we really need to differentiate ourselves. So, Jana, I hope that kind of summed up what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. We're so excited to be partnering to bring this to, as I said, the Curve customer base, as well as anyone out there who really wants to modernize your practice. As Kyle is saying here, bring your practice to another level, move to the cloud, bring in technology like this that makes such a difference. The other thing that I would say for Curve is that we are really on this search, one, for partners like Pearl who are very innovative, and then on our own development roadmap, we're bringing more innovation to you to help you to leverage technology to grow your practice. Less human effort, less human error, like we're talking about here, but a way that you can make your patients more comfortable and increase treatment acceptance. So we are just rolling out our electronic treatment acceptance, our treatment plan on a secure tablet, highly configurable to your practice. You'll collect electronic signatures, super clean, simple, and easy to understand. And we have really taken a note. If you are a breakaway seminar follower or you really believe in Dr. Luna's processes the way that we do, you'll find that the Dr. Luna treatment plan can be found in Curve. And you know that statistically, what we know is treatment acceptance goes up about 30% with a clean, easy to understand treatment plan. So think about this. Dr. Kyle's shown us how we can gain trust by showing the images with the Pearl AI explanation, educate our patients. And now when we present them with the plan on paper or in a digital format in front of them as they're sitting there in the chair, so convinced that they need the treatment, that this should exponentially work together to make your treatment acceptance and, frankly, your patient experience in a very modern and very transparent and trustworthy practice. So we could not be more excited about launching this partnership.
Yeah,
John?
I think one thing I'd like to say too that is nice about an integration with a practice management system like Curve is that the change management that needs to happen is nothing. You know, your team is already using Curve, they're already using Curve images. They don't have to go to a separate window or whatnot. You click on the button and Pearl opens up. It's so simple. And that's always hard with change management with any technology in our practice. So having an integration like this really makes it flow nicely for the entire team.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you for pointing that out.
yeah.
So true.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's interesting, Dr. Kyle, when you were just talking about building that trust with the patient. I've always felt like in my 19 years of dentistry that I feel for dental teams because the intention is always to do what's right for the patient, and we're in one of those industries where in our waiting room we don't have a menu with the price of what's going to be offered, and so there's always been this uphill battle. And it's been so awesome to see the feedback, like you mentioned, that patients are getting when they can just visually see what needs to be done. Connected, Jana, with what you were talking about in regards to that, final stage of case acceptance, meaning, okay, like I believe that I need to get this work done. Now, please make this process easy, which is what you guys have done. So definitely a perfect marriage. And I can say, again, in working together with Dr. Scott Luna and even the feedback we get from our DentaWell members, this is what they want, right? I know dental practices want companies like Curve and Pearl to, pull their technologies together in an effort to make that workflow even better for all parties involved. So I know we're very excited for all of you that are DentaWell members. We want you to, if you are not taking advantage of what Curve is doing as well as Pearl, please do. And especially now with this partnership, it's a great thing, and we're very excited about it. So I do have some questions for the both of you, if you got a couple minutes. Wanted to go ahead and go down that path. So, like you mentioned, Dr. Kyle, what type of success has Pearl seen with the digital offices using the second opinion? You mentioned, a little bit about it, but I'd love to get even more information of really, what we're seeing from the patients.
Yeah, you see it you see success in a few different ways, depending on the style of practice. So if you're a smaller practice, single practitioner, I think what we tend to see is really big case acceptance. We also see a decrease in decision fatigue, meaning when the doctor walks in, he or she, their eyes are pointed to certain areas that they may have not seen. So they can do exams with more efficiency, do them faster, decrease their liability and make sure they're not missing anything. When you look at a larger practice, multiple practitioners, for example, you tend to see that clinical consistency, which is difficult when you have dentists trained in different areas and with different thought processes. But having this little assistance of the AI tends to point their eyes in areas of interest, and we definitely see clinical consistency. One of the biggest trends we've seen recently is the hygienists that really grasp onto this because, my hygienist, for example, she hates to tell people they need SRP. And she's like, kind of goes around it and she doesn't want to feel like the bad person. But it makes it very simple to say, you see Mrs. Jones, you see these little, green squares. Every time you see a green square, that's tartar. Or anytime you see a yellow or a red line, that means you've had some bone loss there. And the patients visually see that, and many times they're like, what do we have to do about it? They're asking you to present treatment to them. So it's been really cool to see that.
Yeah, when I think over the years of all of the different courses, Dr. Carl, that clinicians have gone through in an effort to what's the best way to present treatment and what are the right words that I should use and things like that. Like I feel like we've hit this mark where hopefully now for clinicians, like they've got these visuals and they have to be concerned less about that. And like you mentioned, this workflow takes them right through that. So yeah, also I wanted to ask, could you talk about like what is the workflow in regards to kind of how this whole process works?
Yeah, the workflow, this is what I like about it, because like I said before, change management is hard in any practice, small practice, large practice, DSO, whatever. But because we integrate with your server, anytime that a new image is taken, it automatically will come up in the Curve software. So there's no dragging and dropping or anything. It's there waiting for you, usually within 20 to 30 seconds. So I always say, by the time you take, let's say you're taking bite wings, by the time you take your second bite wing, your first bite wing will be up in Pearl and Curve. So it makes it very simple. I mean, they're already going to Curve imaging. There's really not much change that has to happen, which is one of the big differences with this type of technology. If you get an intraoral scanner, if you get a CBCT, if you get a face scanner, it takes months to really get good at it. It takes months to train your team. It takes months to feel like you're getting the value back. And we hear from our clients, most of them are getting the value back in weeks. I mean, 3-6 weeks, they're getting the entire year paid for.
Yeah, and Jana, I've had the opportunity to spend some time with you and Curve Dental for several years now, and it's been so exciting just to watch the growth. But what I will say personally for everybody watching is the commitment, and you mentioned a little bit that all of you have made to continue to advance your software, to continue to make sure that the practices have the latest and greatest. And this is just another extension of that. I have to ask, like, what was it like when you had started to learn about Pearl? Like, what was that moment when, with the work that you guys were doing, that you were like, we have to do this, like we have to find a way to make this partnership work, and more importantly, provide this to the practices?
Absolutely. Well, when we begin to see what Pearl is bringing to the market, we have a commitment to do everything we can to be innovative and to bring the best, to our customer base. So that was number one. We love what they were doing, and we felt like it was absolutely the best one on the market. And so we went for it. And the beautiful thing for them and for us is, as a cloud platform, we're able to share those images kind of behind the scenes, if you will, and so they're not having to look at a server in your office. They're just accessing the images that we're storing for you, because if you have Curve imaging, everything's stored in the cloud. So super easy. Like Dr. Kyle said, push the button in imaging, you're going to flip over to the Pearl tab and see that all right there. So that's super exciting. I would say the other thing that we're really focused on is more ways, for example, with a partnership like this, with our new treatment plan presentment, how else can we tie these things together? What else can we do to lean in, or to help our practices lean into technology, leverage technology to improve your profits, to grow your practice, to become more efficient, less effort, less human error? That same story is wrapped all around this integration with Pearl. I really can't think of maybe a more important partnership right now for any of our practices, because, as he said, you're going to get such a boost in your treatment acceptance, and it's going to be such a great experience for your patients. And we all know that that's a huge mountain to climb, building that trust, knowing that you're not just trying to get money out of your patients, like the crazy things that people believe, when you're just trying to help them be healthy. And now you have a beautiful way to do it that feels modern and fresh. And not only that, it's super accurate, and they're going to feel good about it and trust you and want to do more business with you. And that's our goal, to make it easier for you to do the business that you want to do, caring for your patients.
And Jana, is there anything else? I mean, you all are always working on, like you mentioned, new and innovative things to keep pushing the envelope forward in regards to evolving, the Curve platform. But is there anything else that you're doing to complement, AI and treatment plan acceptance, anything along those lines that you guys are also working on?
There's so much, John. I don't think that I want to give away any more of my secrets
Got
on
it.
this. But what
Yeah.
I do want to do is offer for anyone to take a demo if you're not on the Curve platform already. Same for Pearl. If you're not using Pearl already, you should definitely, you owe it to yourself, right? Block out an hour and have a demo so that you can understand what is available to you. And then you'll learn all kind of other things that each of us are up to make your practice more modern, more efficient through technology.
And then last question, Dr. Kyle, I have to ask you this. I feel like when a practice starts to use this technology and they get used to it, like you don't go back, right? I mean, I think that it's one of those situations where you
Yeah.
get used to this. And if anything happens, like in regards to them not having it, like I can only imagine, the conversations in the practice, like once they get used to this, once they present it to the patient. So, for you as a clinician, what has that been like just to be a part of something like this that is transforming dentistry to the next level?
Yeah, it's been really cool. There was just a story this week that we were doing a pilot with a certain group, and they were trying it for a certain amount of months or something. And they were getting ready to take it away so that they could figure out, which offices they were going to deploy and whatnot. And a lot of the dentists were like, no, you can't take this away. You can't take this away. I want this. So it's been really, it's been a dream for me. I come from a dental family. I've always been really interested in helping the dental profession in general. I'm a big mental health advocate in dentistry and teach about this. And anytime that I can reduce stress, build trust, increase revenue for dentists, I'm happy. So yeah, it's been a joy for me.
That's awesome. Well, again, I can say on behalf of DentaWell, it has been awesome to partner with the both of you. And, we want to make sure that for all of our DentaWell members, if they don't know about what you guys are doing in this partnership, that's what part of this webinar is, as well as additional education that we're going to do to get the word out. Jana, I know that you have put together some offers that you want to speak about as we close this out. So I want to kind of turn it over to you for that.
Yes, thank you. We both have. So on the Curve side, if you are not a Curve customer yet, what we would offer you, if you see a demo and decide you want to move on to the platform, is your first 2 months of Curve will be free. And not only that, your complete conversion, which is your project manager, a trainer, a conversion specialist, you're going to get your data, your images, all of your files, all of that converted for $7.99, as well as all of your training. So that's super exciting. And on the Pearl side, you're going to get your first month of second opinion for free. So all of that together, you're going to get going and have super modern technology and a great patient experience with some discounts to help you get started.
Awesome. And we will make sure anybody that's watching this, that any of those notes and especially being able to take advantage of those great offers will be available to you, whether you're watching this, in an email, newsletter, social media, whatever the case may be. This partnership is so exciting. And we're glad that we had that time to speak with both Jana and Dr. Kyle Stanley. So thank you to the both of you. Thank you for what you're doing to make dentistry better. And we look forward to hearing some more success stories as we go. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.